Today we discussed about antigen presentation. Antigen presenting cells and how they presenting antigen, how antigen presenting cells are working, and what about their location and function of different antigen presenting cells. Okay, so antigen presenting cell, what they doing, their function, they are specialized for what? To capture microbial and other antigen, and then they're doing what? Display them to lymphocytes. Okay, display them to lymphocytes, and also give signal for stimulation and proliferation of lymphocytes. Clear? So it means they present antigen and also help to activate our lymphocyte T cell and B cell. Clear? These are the is the function of what is the function of antigen presenting cell. Antigen presenting cell, any foreigner antigen enter your body, microbial antibody or any other antibody, okay, they captured by antigen presenting cell, then presented to lymphocytes. Clear? Maybe to B cell, maybe to T cells. If they presented to B cell, it's just a thymus independent antigen. Thymus dependent antigen they always presented to T cells. Clear? So what are the main cells? What are the professional cells here who present antigen to T cells? Follicular, both here, dendritic cells. Dendritic cells, okay, specialized cells, follicular dendritic cells. They presented antigen to B lymphocyte. You can see the mostly cells, antigen presenting cells. Antigen presenting cell, they present antigen to all present antigen to T cell. But your dendritic cells also have ability to present antigen to B cell, but in some particular, like in some typical situations, okay? If antigen is very small, if antigen is DNA, if antigen structure is polysaccharide. So in some situation, we also need the presentation to B cell. Majority, we present it to CD4 cell, or you also can present to CD8 cell by other body cells, okay? But antigen presenting cell only present antigen to CD4 cells. Clear? So sometime we present antigen to T cell, very rarely, okay, very little function this one. What are the presenter antigen presenting cells? Who capture the antigen, who present the antigen? Number one, dendritic cell. Number two, macrophage. Number three, B cells. What is the most common type, most important cell for antigen presenting cell? Which one? Dendritic. What do you think about which cell may be most important for antigen presentation? Which one? Just have any guess? From these three, which one is very important antigen presenting cell?
B-cell.
Macrophage, no.
Macrophage, they have too many functions. Dendritic cell not have any function, only have function to present antigen. Understand? So if I give you many tasks, can you complete all tasks? Many tasks, or you can complete one or two or three, many tasks, or maybe so. Macrophage, no doubt, macrophage is very good antigen presenting cell, but the most common antigen presenting cell is dendritic cell. Even when you think about B cell also have other functions too, okay? B cell, what's the B cell function? B cell change to plasma cell, B cell change to plasma cell, then also produce antibody. So B cell also have other function. Macrophage also have other function. Dendritic cell only have one function. Oh, understand? Dendritic cell only have one function. What's the function of dendritic cell? Only present antigen. Why is very effective? You know why is very effective? Why are not mentioned macrophage? Why are not? This one reason I already explained. Okay, only function of dendritic cell presentation of antigen. You have just one duty. You must complete your work. Your purpose. Oh, you are a student. Your function must be like just do study. Left everything. Just one duty. Clear? So dendritic cell just one duty. Present antigen. So if you just have one work to do, you can do very effectively. Yeah. So that's why this is very good, important antigen presenting cell, dendritic cell. Not confuse. Oh, no doubt macrophage is a very famous cell, having lot of function to do. One function is antigen presentation. So it's not 100% sure strict function. You must do antigen presentation. Macrophage have too many functions to do. Clear? Variety of function. So it's not specific for antigen presentation. Dendritics are only specific. This is one thing. Another reason why dendritic cell very good for antigen presentation because have this process. Oh, these process like dendrites. Okay, these process so they can move more faster. If you see macrophages just like this bigger cell, they not move much faster, which can run. You have foot process, yes, you have foot process, you can run. If you not have foot, you just can do crawling. Understand? You just can do crawling. Here you can run. Understand? You can run, you can walk because you have foot process. So which one is more faster to present antigen? Dendritic cell. So that's why. So you can see easily now. Dendritic cell, nature, Allah Almighty produced dendritic cell. For what purpose? Only for antigen presentation. Why? Also give. Oh, you are just specialized for antigen presentation. You have some extra property. What property? You also have food process now. Allah give more power to dendritic cell. Just presentation, just antigen presentation. Clear? So that's why it's a very specialized cell here. Dendritic cell, antigen presenting. The most common antigen presenting cell is dendritic cells. Okay. Okay, next say these are all professional. Okay, these are all professional. Not dot macrophage was very important here. Dendritic cell, all professional cells. How they present antigen? They on the surface they have MHC2. This everyone know, yeah. MHC2. They also have co-stimulatory molecule. What are the co-stimulatory molecule? I don't know about the co-stimulatory molecule. What are they? B7 now. Yes, you know better than me now. Yeah. CD28, B7. Co-stimulatory molecule. Co-stimulatory molecule. First secondary signal. Okay. What are the non-professionals or what are non-professionals presenting antigen? They very rarely endothelial cell, epithelial cell, fibroblast. Sometime they have MSC2. Sometime. Oh, my antigen presenting cell they having MSC2. Okay, so these cells you see here, these three cells are professional antigen presenting cells. These three cells are professional antigen presenting cell. Clear? But the cells like endothelium, like epithelium, so these cells are not professional. These are non-professional. Okay, they're not much expert in presentation of antigen. Clear? It's a difference between professional and non-professional. MSC1 protein. MSC1 protein. What's the location of MSC1 protein? Antigen presentation to CD8 cell. So antigen presenting cell, they use MSC2 and give antigen to what? Give antigen to CD4 cell. Okay, give antigen to CD4 cell. If the cell, like all body cell, they having MSC1 expressed by which we can see here, okay, all body, somatic cell mean belongs to body. All body cell, they present antigen to CD8. Understand? They present antigen to CD8. It's mean our all body cell can present antigen, understand? But all body cell, they are not professional antigen presenting cell, okay? All body cell, they are not antigen presenting cells. Antigen presenting cell, very specialized antigen presenting cell, very expert. Dendritic 1, macrophage 2, B3, okay? So these three cells. Any cell can therefore present antigen. Understand this line? And can present antigen too, but they present antigen. Body cells present antigen to. Body cells present antigen to CD8 cell. Body cell only present antigen to CD8 cell. How they present? They're using MSC1 protein. Okay, they're using MSC1 protein. An antigen presenting cell on one side, they're using MSC2. They only present to CD4 cell. They only present to CD4 cell. What's the name for CD8 cell? It's a cytotoxic T cell. Cytotoxic T cell. Okay, so cytotoxic T cell. The which cell present the antigen body cell is a target cell. Then cyto, for example, this cell present antigen with the help of MSC1 present antigen to CD8 cell. Then CD8 cell attack on this cell. The CD8 cell attack on in this cell. This cell contains some virus. Kill this cell. And this cell having virus. This cell having tumor. This cell having some bacteria inside. Okay, all intracellular. Okay, intracellular organism. Virus infected cell, intracellular microorganism, or the cancer cell. So the cells presented to CD8 cell. The cells presented to CD8 cell. Can you tell me if the graft rejection there, for example, the patient received transplantation of organ, yeah? Transplantation. After transplantation, a little piece of liver, maybe kidney transplantation here. If which cell have more affinity to attack this, CD8 or CD4? CD8 or CD4? So in graft rejection, which cell can play more role? Graft rejection, if the rejection by body cell. Which cell circulate in all over the body every time? CD8. So the CD8 attack on the liver is a transplanted liver. Maybe not, actually not match well. So CD8 cell attack on the transplanted kidney. Okay. So CD8 cell is an allogenic graft from other same species. Yeah. From say in the different individual of same species. So graft rejection mainly done by CD8 cell. This we see in graft transplantation section. Okay. Okay. Let's see our first cell here, dendritic cell. Dendritic cell present where? In the lymphatic tissue, one. Present in epithelium also. Present inside the skin, everywhere, okay? Everywhere also. So the dendritic cell, identify the dendritic cell. How we can identify the dendritic cell? Dendritic cell, they have spine-like process, okay? Dendritic cell, they have spine, foot-like process, like dendrites, okay? You can see here, this line is very important for dendritic cell. Dendritic cell, most effective antigen presenting cell to start the T cell response. Okay, the most effective. Now clear? What's the most common, most important antigen presenting cell? Dendritic cell. It's a real picture of dendritic cells. You can see it's an electron microscope picture. You can see they having a lot of foot process here. Yeah. So these are the dendrites. These are the dendrites. Dendritic cell. Same thing here also. Dendritic cell, you can see having some foot process here. Yeah, having some foot process here. Having these are foot process. So dendritic cell can work more faster. It can also move more faster than other antigen presenting cells. So that's why dendritic cell is very important for us. Okay. What are the surface marker present on dendritic cell? Dendritic cell have CD1. Dendritic cell have CD83. Also express CD4 protein. Also express FCR receptor. This FCR for antibody. And important thing, MSC protein. Okay. Also having co-stimulatory molecule. What are the co-stimulatory molecule on dendritic cell? Antigen presenting cells, they having B7. Okay. Co-stimulatory molecule. B7, also CD28. CD28 present on lymphocytes. Okay, clear. So we also have some adhesion molecules there. So these are the surface protein. It's a dendritic cell. Dendritic cell having CD1, dendritic cell having CD83, dendritic cell having CD4, dendritic cell having MSC protein. This is very important for us for antigen presentation. Okay, very important for us. So these are some surface markers present on dendritic cells. Okay, so dendritic cell, what is the origin of dendritic cell? Dendritic cell produced from myeloid. Yesterday I explained the different cells here. Pluripotential hematopoietic stem cells. They change to two line, one lymphoid line and one myeloid line. One myeloid line. So from my dendritic cell come from dendritic cell, they arise from both, also fuse from myeloid and fuse from lymphoid. So it's the origin of dendritic cell both. Understand? Origin of dendritic cell from both. Also from lymphoid, also from myeloid. Okay, it's clear. Dendritic cell. Dendritic cell present in epithelium, also present in solid tissue everywhere. What's the location? The location everywhere. The location everywhere in the body, close to the body tissue. Clear? Close to the body tissue. Langerhans cell. These are these cells present inside the skin. Okay, inside the dermis. These are also dendritic cells. These are also dendritic cell under the skin. Just an example here. Just example here. Okay, they have different name. Langerhans cell. Langerhans cell also dendritic cell, known as dendritic cell under the skin. Okay, dendritic cell under the skin. Dendritic cell present in soft tissue, dendritic cell present in solid organs, everywhere. Okay, so because these are very important antigen presenting cell, they must be present all over the body. Okay, for presentation of antigen. And what about the migration here? Lymphoid dendritic cell, little development there. The mild, how about the myeloid? There are two categories of dendritic cell. One lymphoid dendritic cell, one come from myeloid line here. Okay, myeloid dendritic cell. Myeloid dendritic cell, lymphoid they already developed. They don't need further development here. Okay, myeloid, pre-dendritic cell, immature dendritic cell. Then in the migration stage, migrate to the tissue. Then they become mature. Okay, lymphoid dendritic cell, they produce from bone marrow, moving to lymph node, neighboring structure of the lymph node. Okay, this one myeloid come from bone marrow, moving to tissue, close to the tissue. When they moving to the tissue, they change to mature. First, they are inside the bone marrow, pre-dendritic cell, immature dendritic cell. Then, they passing moving close to the tissue and then change to mature dendritic cell. Mature dendritic cell, this cell present antigen. Okay, not pre, not immature. Mature dendritic cell present antigen. Okay, so we having two types. One they derive from lymphatic tissue, one they derive from myeloid line. Okay, pluripotential hematopoietic stem cell, they change to two mother cell, one myeloid and one lymphoid cells. Okay, dendritic cell derive from both. Keep in mind. Okay, dendritic cell derived from both. Okay, let's see the antigen presentation here. The antigen presentation by dendritic cell. Dendritic cell, what they're doing, they express what? They express class 2 MSC protein. Immature cell, they're not able, okay? They're not able to express. Why? Because they express little MSC2. So they're not able to activate, okay? They're not able to activate. When the infection there, if the infection there, so these cells, the nearby cells are also expressing CD40. So CD40 is for B cell. CD40 for if dendritic cell present antigen to B cell. I will explain if antigen presentation between the B cell, then we must use CD40. Then we must use CD40 ligand. Okay. So CD40 ligand, so it's antigen presentation between the B cell. When this dendritic cell become mature, immature dendritic cell just have little MSC2, okay, just very low MSC2. if little MSC2 not able to present antigen, not able to present antigen. Okay, if when become mature dendritic cell captured antigen, load antigen on MSC2 and present to CD4 cell. Clear? So mature dendritic cell present antigen, not immature, not immature. Clear or not? Okay. Dendritic cell, dendritic cell. Okay. When it's time to present the antigen to T cell, and dendritic cell also express another protein. What protein? B7. What protein? B7. Okay. So on the T cell, appearance of CD28. So this B cell, this B cell, B cell, this is a B7 here. It's a T cell. T cell having CD28. This part co-stimulatory signal. What's the co-stimulatory signal? It's a secondary signal. This why we already know about the secondary signal. Okay. So this MSC protein, MSC protein, MSC antigen complex, and also co-stimulatory protein together. Now they together they activate what? They activate the T cell. Okay, MSC protein combined with T cell receptor, B7 protein combined with CD28. So the CD28, the B cell, mature T cell have B27. Mature, it is mature dendritic cell here. Mature dendritic cell here having mature dendritic cell having lot of MSC2. So we need MSC2, we need B7 for antigen presentation here, okay, by dendritic cell. So dendritic cell, mature dendritic cell is most important antigen presenting cell, okay. It's the most important, it must be mature. Because mature dendritic cell also have B7, mature dendritic cell also have very high level, very high concentration of MHC2. Very high concentration of MHC2. Clear? Mature dendritic cell having very high concentration of MHC2. So let's see our next cell, macrophage. Macrophage come from bone marrow again, pluripotential, hematopoietic stem cells. Okay, it changed to myeloid line, then myeloid changed to monoblast, monoblast changed to monocyte. So monocyte in our blood. When these monocytes then moving to tissue, they change to macrophages. They change to macrophages. Okay, so macrophages moving to different tissue. If they enter CNS, different name. Enter to liver, Kupffer cell. Enter to lungs, alveolar macrophage. Enter to bone, osteoclast. Enter under the skin, histiocyte. Histiocyte. Histiocyte macrophages under the skin. Okay, clear? So macrophages moving to all body tissue and they have their different name. Okay, microglial cell, macrophage inside the CNS. Kupffer cell inside the liver. Alveolar macrophage inside the lung. Osteoclast inside the bone. Histiocyte. Histiocytes inside the skin. Okay. So the activated macrophages. Now they're doing what? Macrophages. What's the distribution of macrophages? Macrophages. I just gave a one very good name to macrophages. Local security guard of tissue. Local security guard, okay, of tissue. Anything happen to tissue, the first response is resident macrophages there. They're living close to organ, living inside the tissue. Nearly all tissue, understand? Nearly all tissue they having macrophages. They're having macrophages, clear? They're having macrophages. So in some tissue, the macrophages they have different shape. Okay, this already explained. In some tissue, they got their different name. Okay, for example, Kupffer cell, microglial cell, osteoclast. So according to location, they have different properties. They have different shape. Okay, they have different morphology. All by nature, all by nature, by birth they are macrophages. They are monocytes. Okay, but when they enter to liver, their shape different. When they enter to bone, their shape different. When they enter to brain, their shape is different. So they got different name. But in reality, all are macrophages. Osteoclast, these are the macrophages. Microbial cell, these are the macrophages. Kupffer cell, these are the macrophages, okay? Then some alveolar macrophages there. Histiocyte, these are the macrophages. Understand? So this is the macrophage distribution all over the bodies, okay? So macrophages, they again the same thing here. They present MSC and B7. So these two things they use for antigen presenting cell. As being antigen presenting cell, they use MSC protein, they use B7, okay? And they also have some other receptor, sequential receptor. What's a sequential receptor? Sequential receptor, for example, for phagocytosis. For phagocytosis, okay? For phagocytosis, for opsonization of bacteria to eat them. Clear? They're having sequential receptor here. For the bacteria LPS, they have receptor CD40. For the this is a bacterial toxin, okay? LPS is the bacteria toxin. LPS is the bacteria toxin, okay? And they have lot of receptor on the surface, so they have ability to capture wide range of pathogens. That's a very important affinity for macrophages, very important function of macrophages, okay? So very important function. Why? So they can capture any antigen, virus, fungus, bacteria, if attack on the any type of tissue. So macrophage have ability to capture all category of microbes, all category of antigen from different microbes, okay? Okay, let's see what's the main function of macrophages. Macrophage one function, phagocytosis. They directly ingest the bacteria, virus, any fungus, any particles, okay, phagosome, and then try to kill them. Then try to kill them, try to digest them. By how they try to kill them? By using reactive oxygen species. We having inside the macrophage, we also have MPO enzyme, okay, myeloperoxidase enzyme to produce hydrogen peroxide. This hydrogen peroxide kill the bacteria, hydrogen peroxide kill the virus, okay? So macrophage have one function, phagocytosis. Macrophage have another function. This function, according immunology, we're learning this now. This function here, antigen presentation, second function. Understand? Antigen presentation, the second function. So the antigen presentation with the help of MSC2 to the CD4 cell, to the CD4 cell. Clear? For next activation, for further activation of immune system, antigen presentation is another function of macrophages. What's the third function? Third function, production of cytokines, interleukin 1 and tumor necrosis factor. Interleukin 1 and tumor necrosis factor, and also sometimes interleukin 12. Interleukin 12, interleukin 1, tumor necrosis factor, and also interleukin 8. They produce interleukin 8 just to attract the neutrophil for help. Just to attract the neutrophil for help, okay? Interleukin 8, this tumor necrosis factor stimulate Th1 cell. Interleukin 1 act on CD4 cell, okay? Interleukin 1. So these are the cytokine. They also give message to CD4 cell. They stimulate Th1 cell, okay? They also attract neutrophils. They also attract neutrophils. So for neutrophils, we have interleukin 8. Interleukin 8 for chemotaxis of neutrophils at the site of infection, okay? So first, when the infection there, infection inside the tissue, infection inside the tissue. What is the local security guard? Macrophage. We have infection.
Macrophage.
Understand? We have infection here. Clear? So when you have infection here, so this macrophage, now you can easily understand why macrophage is not a good antigen presenting cell. Can this macrophage leave alone the tissue in infective stage and move to lymph node? No, it's a local security guard. If security guard left it in infective stage of the tissue now have more infection. So that's why macrophage mostly they're moving very slowly. They give protection. They give protection. Okay, do or die situation here. So if this macrophage moving to lymph node to, that's why it's not a better antigen presenting cell as compared to dendritic cell. Dendritic cell not have function of defense, not have function of fighting. Okay, dendritic cell only one function, antigen presentation. Dendritic cell have only one presentation, one function, very important function, antigen presentation. Understand? Okay. So it's a local security guard. Next, see, macrophage fighting against the infection. Macrophage produce. What are the cytokines? These are just like a give a mobile message like this. Yeah, this is a mobile message. So these are the chemical interleukin 8. Interleukin 8 enter to blood and inform neutrophil. Then neutrophil come and help this macrophage. Okay, help this macrophage for fighting. Help this macrophage. This is the innate immunity. This we everyone know innate immunity. Yeah, macrophage, neutrophil, nature killer cell, part of innate immunity. When the infection too much, then macrophage decide. Then macrophage produce interleukin 1. Macrophage produce tumor necrosis factor. Okay, so these macrophages also call other monocytes here, and these monocytes moving toward the lymph node and present antigen when the situation is very critical. Situation very critical. Neutrophil come here. Please, you guys come here for fight. Help me. I am going to lymph node. I want to give message. Please, you protect my tissue. Understand? I am here security guard. Macrophage calling neutrophil first. Macrophage calling neutrophil first. Keep in mind, okay? Macrophage calling when acute infection there, acute injury, macrophage, first defense, macrophage, and second defense, neutrophil. What's the third defense? Local security guard, call police. Police everyone circulating here, neutrophil. Then need help of military. It's the last stage of defense. Understand? Primary care, primary defense, secondary defense, tertiary defense. What's a tertiary defense? Tertiary defense, CD4 cell. Tertiary defense, lymphocytes. So for that purpose, I must move to lymph node. Understand what's going on here? Can this macrophage move along to lymph node and left tissue alone? No. Macrophage is a local tissue guard. It's a local security guard. If security guard gone, that bacteria, when that macrophage come back to the tissue, oh, tissue dead. Macrophage not do like this, okay? So first macrophage call the police. It's a security guard. Call the police first. Second defense. What's the police? Neutrophil. Understand? Neutrophil. So neutrophil fighting against that bacteria. Neutrophil fight. Then macrophage saying something to neutrophil. What they're saying to neutrophil? I am going to the headquarters of the military because situation is out of control now. Situation is out of control now. I am going to present antigen 2. I'm going to present this message doing this bacteria is very hard for us. Very hard for us to kill. Please help us. So I am going to lymph node. Please do. Can you do favor for me? What? You defend this tissue against that bacteria. I am leaving now. Like this. Okay. Understand? So macrophage first call neutrophil, then going to lymph node. First call neutrophil, then going to lymph node. Understand? They not just leave alone the tissue. They not just leave alone the tissue. They call they call first neutrophil. How they call neutrophil? They call neutrophil by using one chemical. They release some chemical. Yeah, what chemical? Interleukin 8. Interleukin 8. Clear? Then they're going to present antigen. That's your fighting plan. Okay. The first macrophage fight, then neutrophil fight, then lymphocyte fight. So that's the reason when patient presented to with any type of infection, if the patient have acute infection, you can check the blood or blood test. What you see in blood test? Very high level of neutrophil. Very high level of neutrophil. If you see any chronic infection, very high level of monocyte, very high level of lymphocyte. Why? Because infection going to chronicity, strong bacteria, repeated infection, chronic infection. I need help of lymphocyte now. Then lymphocyte more in number, okay? So in chronic infection, more in number lymphocyte. In acute infection, more in number neutrophil. Understand? In acute infection, more in number in your blood for fighting is a neutrophil. So we also can check from the blood test, or the patient have acute disease or chronic disease. Done? Okay, let's see. Now move on. The B cell, the third antigen presenting cell. This antigen presenting cell is a unique advantage. Okay, it's not a real antigen presenting cell. the B cell have some different function. What's the B cell function? B cell change to plasma cell. Plasma cell produce antibody. So antibody production is the real function of B cell. Antibody production is the real function of B cell. Understand? It's a real function of B cell, but this cell also sometimes act like antigen presenting cell. This is a professional antigen presenting cell, but is not much skilled as compared to dendritic cell. Now you understand what's the importance of antigen presenting cell. Like dendritic cell is very important antigen presenting cell. So dendritic cell, the most common antigen presenting cell is the dendritic cell, because dendritic cell only have one duty, only have one work to do, only antigen presentation. The other two cells, they have also other functions. Yeah, the B cell, the function producing antibody, and the macrophage also is a local security guard, just a local security guard, can't left tissue alone. So it's not a much proper, not a much good antigen presenting cell as compared to dendritic cell. Understand? Macrophage have function of cytokine production. Macrophage have function of phagocytosis there. Macrophage have function of antigen presentation. Three duties. So three things here have to do by macrophages. So that's why it's not good antigen presenting cells. Okay. Let's see. It's already done about the follicular antigen presenting cell. So it's just a repetition of slides. Here see the summary here. It's a dendritic cell.